Well, much like my last video, I'm not completely over whatever this is that's ailing me, my little cough or what have you. Maybe I should go to the doctors again. I will tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to get through this video without any major hitches. This is the one video that I've been a little hesitant to make because I have two golden rules. Number one, every single one of my videos, they're going to be informational. It's going to be experience I've acquired over my 25 plus years of being a professional full-time handicapper. I'm not going to be these infomercials where I go in the mere sales pitches. And number two, I've never believed in building myself up by knocking other handicappers in the industry. But in this one is what to look for when shopping for a handicapper. I guess I'm going to have to take a couple indirect pot shots at handicappers out there, or really the gamblers who are easily fooled. And second of all, look, there is a reason I have been one of the very few, and I'm talking very few. There are an estimated 650 or more people who sell picks out there on the internet, via mail, etc. There are really only about a half dozen or so, maybe 10, who can honestly say they have been selling picks full-time for 20 plus years. And I've been doing that going back to my scorephone days, JD of the ACC. So I'll admit that it's going to be a little bit self-serving, and to a certain extent, I'm going to have to break my other rule as well. But one of the most surprising emails I get, and it doesn't happen often, we've got quite a few customers, but every now and then, somebody who actually bought my picks, they'll say, you know, I like your picks, you're a good handicapper, but last night you went 1 and 2, and you don't mention that you had a losing night on your site. Well, really, frankly, that's not true. If we're on a 20 and 4 run, and we advertise that, and by the way, if we say on our website we've hit 20 out of our last 24, guess what? We've actually hit 20 out of our last 24. And I go 1 and 2 the next night. The next day, I'm going to say I'm 21 and 6. We are mentioning the fact that we lost, but we don't harp on it. But I guess one of the reasons I decided to make this video, it cracked me up. I'll admit, I go around on YouTube and I look at some of the other sports handicapping videos that are out there, and you know, some of them are from sites that are every bit as big as offshoreinsiders.com. A couple of them are from, you know, guys that are feeding reports from their apartment. Some guy calls himself the Basher, and he actually is doing reports from the kitchen of his apartment. It's pretty comical. But I stumbled upon this other one, and this guy, he does some type of website. He considers himself a monitor. He's got several, you know, maybe like 6 or 7 other handicappers websites. I think they are pretty much independent of each other, but he keeps track of the records, and then he promotes them on his site. And he does a daily video. Again, I'm trying not to be too critical of other people in this business or trying to make it in the business, but he wears it like a t-shirt every day, a hat, and then he's got like some type of blanket behind him as the backdrop. By the way, thank you to my son, Jordan Duffy, who decided he was going to be my stagehand. He decided to rearrange the background. And yes, some of those trophies, they are my kids' soccer trophies. They play in those leagues where everyone gets a trophy. But anyway, congrats to my new stagehand, my son, Jordan. But anyway, this one guy on his video, he says, this handicapper, he goes 0 and 3 yesterday. And if you go to his website, he says, I went 0 and 3. And this is an exact quote from him. What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? Oh, I don't know. How about a handicapper who actually wins? Folks at offshoreinsiders.com, occasionally we are going to have an 0 and 3 day like that. But if that's all you want from your handicapper, someone who admits to losers, I got news for you. Go to a website that has losing handicappers. But we're going to tell you how to go to a website that has winning handicappers. What more could you ask for? Look, I've been doing this a long time. I have yet to meet a bookmaker who all you have to do is say to him, you know, and I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 8 years where it's like an online confessional. Bookmaker, forgive me, for I have sinned. It has been 6 days since my last winning days. And then the bookmaker says, all right, say 3 Hail Marys. You don't have to pay me. You're absolved of all your losses. It doesn't work that easy. Beware of the sheep's and wolf's clothing. Oh, they merely talk about losers. That makes them credible. Losers talk about losers. Winners talk about winners. And that's just one of the general lessons of the handicapping industry. Look, one of my favorite professors of all time, Jim McVeigh, English professor, California University of Pennsylvania, he used to say cliches are evil. So I don't like to use cliches, but I'm going to have to use that one that truly does apply. Handicapping is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Every handicapper, every professional gambler out there has a losing day or two, sometimes even 3 in a row. But the professional gamblers, the handicappers who've been at it a long time, they realize that is a cost of doing business. Quality handicappers such as those at offshoreinsiders.com, the winning streaks always have and always will outnumber the losing streak. So if you're easily impressed by a handicapper who goes 0-4 and just admits to it the next day, hey, there are plenty of the 650 handicappers out there. I'm sure there are plenty that do that. But at offshoreinsiders.com, we have only the handicappers that win on a regular basis. Now, I'm not saying you want to go to the other extreme, by the way, when you're shopping for a handicapper. That doesn't mean you trust everyone out there who makes these ridiculous claims. Oh, I'm 62-0. I've got inside information. There are no handicappers out there that have inside information. There are a lot of us out there that have quality information that we get it right off of the same internet that you're watching this on right now. We know where to find that information that's not widely available. Nobody has inside information. And I'm going to tell you an industry secret. You know the book Pinocchio, Every Time Pinocchio Told a Lie? Well, in the and his nose grew. Well, in the handicapping industry, every time you tell a lie, your thumbs grow. No, I'm not saying that you go to the other extreme. Just like you shouldn't assign credibility to guys that merely admit to losers, it doesn't mean you believe someone who says he's got inside information and he's on a 62-0 run. And he's personally betting $1 million on this game. Not that easy. What you should look for is somebody, well, first of all, if you're willing to take a risk, when you buy picks for the first time, does that handicapper give in-depth analysis, and does it make sense? If a handicapper has put a lot of research into a game and he has a lot of information, not inside information, but a lot of quality information on that game, he's going to tell you in the analysis. He's going to want to show it off. So if a guy just merely gives you picks, I will tell you there's a 95% chance it is a hunch bet or a glorified coin flip. The analysis will tell you immediately whether the handicapper has done his research. And most sites do have free picks, such as offshoreinsiders.com. You click on the top of the page, it says articles. Among the articles we have there are free picks. So you're going to know right away. Look, I was general manager of freescoreboard.com, Scorephones, and now I am the CEO of offshoreinsiders.com. I get all the time stuff from handicappers asking to be on my site. Only like 5% are smart enough to send me writing samples. I can tell you by looking at the writing samples if these guys are any good. Now, do they have published articles around the internet? You can see what their gambling theories are, and if you can punch holes in those theories. I do know there are a few handicappers, and no, I'm not clearing my throat because of my cold, although that actually helped. There are some handicappers out there who have hundreds of published articles on many sites about handicapping theory. And I can tell you, Joe Duffy of offshoreinsiders.com has articles published on many sites out there. But do they actually make sense? Read the articles, read the analysis. You'll know immediately whether that handicapper knows what he is talking about. So again, don't group all handicappers with the boiler room touts. There are a lot of scumbuckets out there who lie, but also at the other extreme, don't get fooled by the wolves in sheep clothing. Oh, I admit to my losers. Well, I guess when you lose all the time, it's a lot easier to admit to those losers. All right, guys, again, this is as close as you're ever going to get to an infomercial. So I was a little hesitant to make this, but shop around for the best handicappers, and frankly, I did that. When I set up offshoreinsiders.com, I brought only the best of the best. Offshoreinsiders.com. It includes Matt Rivers, who was one of the first to leave that website out there, and I know one of those funny videos I stumbled across was the Brandon Lang, Al DeMarco thing. Well, Matt Rivers was the winningest handicapper ever on that network of sites. Winningest handicapper ever. He decided to move to the best website, offshoreinsiders.com, and I know their marquee handicapper has since moved on, and there's been a little bit of a sort of a funny back and forth, a little bit of disgusting back and forth between a couple handicappers out there on YouTube. We don't do any of that stuff. But again, visit us at offshoreinsiders.com. Take a look at offshoreinsiders.com where we've got the sports betting videos at the top of the page. I think you're going to find that a lot of those are very instructive.